And that just timed out. How's that look, Diane? Can you see that, sweetie? Hold that. All right, we're starting out on lesson 5. And thank you to Brother Luke for taking over last week. It is a tough crowd. All right, so we're starting out with lesson 5. So this covers quite a bit of time here. We start out in Exodus 19. We end up in Numbers. In Deuteronomy 3 is where we end up. So it's covering a lot of time in a short amount of paperwork here. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to go through all these and we'll go over the map. And I've got the blank one here and the answer key where you can see it. So, hey, it'll be a little bit better this time. All right, so we're going to start with number 1. Where was the law of Moses given? Mount Sinai. We'd all have to go back to Vacation Bible School if we did not know that one. Okay. All right, so in the 3rd month after the Israelites left Egypt, they came to Mount Sinai. God was on the mountain, and there was thunder and lightning, and thick cloud covered the mountain. God told Moses, if anyone, man or animal, touched the mountain, he was to be stoned to death or shot with an arrow. So he went up there, and we know the story of the 10 Commandments, and that's found in Exodus 20. What else happened on Mount Sinai? We have 4 different things here. What did you guys get? Law was given, 10 Commandments. What else? Gold calf. People consecrated the gold calf. What else? The tabernacle was built. And what was the 4th? Numbering of the people, or the census of the tribes. Outstanding. Okay, so, let's go to the next one because we're going to go into number 4 in depth a bit more. How long were the Israelites at Mount Sinai?
I said nearly 2 years.
There was some math involved. I was told when I took this position there would be no math.
If you were figuring it in our calendar, it was like 1 year and 11 months.
Yes, that's exactly what I got. So I went and counted them up. You had to go to Exodus and Numbers and do the math and all that stuff. So basically, you had 2 years and 2 months and 20 days, and you had to do the subtraction of the 3rd month after Egypt. So it ended up being about, like Bill said, 1 year and 11 months. So 2 years is an acceptable answer. And how many fighting men were there at this time when they did the census? What'd you guys get for that? All right, 603,550. So I'm going to go ahead and list these out. I thought there was a little something funny here. So Reuben had 46,500 people, just men over the age of 21. Simeon, 59,300. Gad was the oddball, so he had 45,650. All the other ones are even numbers except for Gad, where he had 650. Judah had 74,600. Issachar, 54,400. Zebulun, 57,400. Joseph, or Ephraim, 40,500. Manasseh, 32,200. Benjamin, 35,400. Dan, 62,700. Asher, 41,500. Naphtali, 53,400. That's a total of 603,550. That's a pretty big army, even by this time standards. I mean, even by today's standards, that's a huge army. So yeah, they were fruitful and multiplied when they were in Egypt. So they became kind of a nuisance if you read some of the older historical texts, which is part of the reason why they became enslaved. Okay, so what do we know about the golden calf? How did that come about? An accident. So I mean, as always, the Israelites tend to grumble. Well, if we were only back in Egypt and we'd be a lot better off as slaves.
Of course, their big concern was Moses dead.
Yep.
Why is he up on that mountain so long? Why doesn't he come back down?
He abandoned us. Oh, let's worship some other gods, right?
It's almost like
Yes, they were following the man, not God. So they had a lot of learning to do. And there's people that do that today. It's not a new phenomenon. People get and start following preachers and isms and all this, and they don't follow God. And it happens every day. Just look out in the denominational world. Okay, so we have, I went off, didn't it? I'm going to change that. Give me a second. So if we look at the map up here, we'll go ahead and do what we got so far. They started out over here in the land of Goshen, and we'll see another more detailed map in that second. Down here is Mount Sinai, okay? All right, so they left Mount Sinai and they headed into the wilderness of what? Which waters? The Paran. So there's three wildernesses we kind of come in contact with. We have the wilderness of Shur, the wilderness of Sin, or Zin, depends on which Bible translation you read, and the wilderness of Paran. Okay, so that's where they head. That's where Kadesh Barnea is, and we'll go through that as well. All right, very good. Okay, so... Okay, I got a little ahead of myself. Let's talk about the tabernacle. So, who prescribed the design of the tabernacle? God. He gave very specific lengths, widths, everything. So, and that was the precursor of the temple. Same kind of setup. It had an outer court, it had an inner sanctuary, and it had the Holy of Holies, just like the temple did, but it was a tent. Okay, and what kind of things happened in the tabernacle? What did they do? What did Aaron or Moses do? Right, and God would speak to Moses and Aaron within the tabernacle. Yes, it was. All right, now we come to Kadesh Barnea. Okay, and there were a lot of things that happened in between, and we're going to get into those when we go over the map. But what happened in Kadesh Barnea? What's the significance of that? 12 spies. So who sent out the 12 spies? Aaron and Moses. So how many spies did they send out? 12, one from each tribe, right? Okay, and how many good reports did they have? 2. They had 10 bad. Hey, you can't go in there, man. Those people are giants. You can't do it. We're going to get killed, blah, 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 blah. And the other 2 said, hey, this place is awesome. It's flowing with milk and honey. It's a great place for God's people. And we don't care about those people. God will take care of us. So that was a lesson in faith, okay? How were those people, the 10 tribes, how were they, the people in those 10 tribes, how were they penalized for that decision? Right.
20 years old enough.
None of them could go into the Canaan land. So what God did was he gave them 1 year for every day of disobedience that they did. So 40 days of disobedience, 40 years of wandering in the desert. All right. And I just answered the next question. All right, so they got 40 years, 1 year for each day they spied out Canaan. Okay, so those 10 tribes were penalized greatly. And who else didn't make it into Canaan? Moses, also for disobedience. Okay, number 9. Where did Aaron die? Mount Hor. A little bit southeast of, you see this? There's Kadesh. Right there is Mount Hor, right there. So there's Sinai, Kadesh, 12 spies go out and all that. Then Aaron dies, and they take him to Mount Hor, where they mourn him for 30 days. And then back up to Kadesh they went. All right, so number 10. Where is Mount Hor located physically? Now you can see it up here on the map. There you go, on the northern border of Paran, on the land of Edom. So what is Edom known for? Talked about this a couple weeks ago. Esau. Those are Esau's descendants. So we had Joshua and the gang and Moses. They wanted to pass through Edom. What was the answer from the Edomites? Absolutely not. Okay, then we'll just go through Moab. Ain't happening. All right. So both Edom and Moab, if you look up here, this is the land of Moab. And I'll show you a better map here in a minute. This is the land of Edom down here. So directly to the east of the Dead Sea is Moab. Southeast is Edom. So they couldn't go through this way. This place is a lot easier to navigate than this side over here. It's all desert and rocks and mountains. So of course they wanted to go through this area. They didn't want to go through the bad part, but it was not to be. Okay. Now we jump, and we're almost to the end of the lesson, but we got a lot more to go through here. The land, now all the tribes got a piece of land, and it goes into it in detail. What land was wanted by 2.5 tribes? Right, so east of the Jordan River, and we're going to look at a map of that as well. And I skipped one. Who was the king of, it says, who sent for Balaam to curse Israel? Balak, and he was the king of what? Moab. So yeah, hey, this great number, what was it? 603,550 army-aged men are knocking on our border. We need you to go curse them. Of course, that won't work. All right, so let's check out some of these maps. All right, what is this body of water here? The Great Sea. So back then they called it the Great Sea. It's the Mediterranean today. What's this body of water? That is the Red Sea. Up here is the portion that Moses crossed, and we'll go over that here in a minute. Yeah. And what mountain is this? Sinai. What town is this? Kadesh Barnea. What mountain is this? Okay. What land is this? Moab. And this? What body of water is that? Dead Sea. And what river? There you go. There's your homework. You got it all. Yep. You guys don't already have them marked down, there's your answers. Let me get over here real quick. All right, so I'm going to say one more thing about Balaam and the curse of Israel. The Moabites wanted Balaam to put a curse on the Israelites, so the Moabites figured they would be able to defeat the Israelites in battle. They sent messengers to Balaam to persuade him to curse the Israelites. But Balaam wanted the money. He tried to curse the Israelites, but every time that he did, God made a blessing to come out of his mouth. Every time that Balaam blessed the Israelites, they became stronger. So God turned Balaam's evil into good for the Israelites, and Balaam was later killed in the battle by the Israelites. Balaam loved money more than he loved God. So Balaam tried to get money by doing evil, and God had a better plan. Okay, so you guys done with this one? So I kind of wanted to give you an idea of where all these places are in today's geography, okay? So I'm not sure if you can see that, but you have the Mediterranean Sea here. There's Edom, there's Moab, there's Ammon. So you had the Moabites, the Edomites, and the Ammonites. Well, lo and behold, Amman is still the capital of Jordan, and the Ammonites are still there. And we have Damascus up here. Well, yeah, that's where Paul saw Christ on the road to Damascus, went there, and it's still there. And what the street called Straight, still there. Where you have Kadesh Barnea over here, it's still there. Mount Hor is still there, and Aaron's tomb is still on top of it. You can go see it right now. It's kind of neat. I would like to do that one day. But so Aaron is buried right around in here. And this is the modern country of Jordan today. Up here is the modern country of Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and then right here, this little purple thing is the Gaza Strip. You've heard quite a bit about it in the local news. So it's, yeah. All right, so there you got Gaza there. But Gaza's always been kind of set aside. That was Philistine property at the time. So it's always been like that, guys. So, I mean, you know, this is 2,000 years later or more, and we're still looking at basically the same map. It's kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to track. Oh, surely not. Can you guys kind of see that? A little bit. It's a little bit blurry. And the reason I put this map up, this gives you an actual trek from the time of Joseph, Moses, and on down. So right here, we have Ramesses. This is from last week's lesson. You should remember that because Luke is an outstanding teacher. But there's Ramesses. It's in the land of Goshen, which is right here. It's the most fertile part of Egypt still to this day. It's where Egyptian cotton comes from. Bet you didn't know that. All right. So right there, Ramesses. Then they built these two towns here because they were slaves, and they needed the storage towns. And this is the path of Moses right here. This is where he crossed the Red Sea. Now, supposedly, archaeologists have found the stones that they have placed there, but who knows? Anybody can put a pile of stones up. But they put stones on either side of where they crossed originally. And archaeologists have actually found pieces of chariot in that area in the sea. So it's kind of neat there. All right. So let me look at this. What city is that? Oh. All right, so, and these are all the verses. So you have 15:23. If you look at Numbers 15:23, that's Mara. That's the city they came to there. Elam is also in Numbers 15:27. And you can just track it right there all the way down. Right here is Rephidim, or Rephidim. And what happened at Rephidim? Do we remember from last week? Any ideas? Do you remember what happened in Rephidim?
Where it was?
Yeah, what happened there?
We just studied this last week, so I already forgot.
So bye. Something important happened at Rephidim. There it is. And actually, this is the one he smote and he was supposed to do. And he gave God the glory. So this was the good one. Yeah, right. And that's where the Amalekites were. So there was a lot of stuff that went down there. So he smote the rock there. There is still a rock made out of granite that doesn't have an earthly place where it belongs geologically there in that spot. And there's still a spring in the middle of it, which is kind of cool. All right, so, and then right to the southeast of Rephidim is Mount Sinai, and we know what happened there. 10 Commandments, we're at Numbers 20 at this point. Exodus 20. And Moses goes up to get the Ten Commandments, and children of Israel put together a gold calf with the help of Aaron. And he came down, broke the Ten Commandments, and there we go, and we know the rest of the story. All right, so when they left there, they went northeast up here to Kadesh Barnea, and that was kind of their base camp before they started their trek towards Canaan. And it's right there, and that's in Numbers 13, I believe. And from there, that's where they sent the spies out to check the land. They went up through there, everything was good, except for the 10. And then Aaron got sick, and he came down here to Mount Hor to die. Now, we're not there yet, but Moses took the clothes off of Aaron and gave them to who? What was his name? Eleazar, which is a pretty cool name. Okay. What we got there? There we go. Can you all see that? So we're starting, the last question there, we start getting into what the tribes, the land that they ended up in. And this has bearing on today's events as well. All right, so you have Manasseh. Who was Manasseh? Do you guys know? Joseph's sons. Ephraim was the other. So Joseph's son, since he died in Egypt, they got the inheritance of Joseph's inheritance for the land and the promise. I will say this, there is a tomb in Ramesses. It's still there today. And inside it, it has the shell of a sarcophagus with a rainbow coat on it. So they seem to think that it might be Joseph's tomb. Of course, they took his body with them, right. So the Israelites went back, got his body, and took him with them. And but there is still a tomb there, and it's Joseph's tomb, and it's just kind of cool the way these things tie together. I'm sorry, I'm amazed. I'm easily amused here, folks. All right, so we have, let me see, right there. So we have Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, and these tribes here are the ones that we talked about in that last question. So they settled on the east side of the Jordan River, to the east of the Dead Sea. So those three. So what did they try to do before Joshua took them across into Canaan? What did those three tribes try to do? Yeah, they say, okay, yeah, hey, we'll take this land. You guys go on to war, and good luck with that, right?
But they made a promise.
Yep. And Moses, or Joshua said, no. That's not the way this is going to happen. You're going to help us fight. You're going to help us conquer. You can come back, settle the land. So, nice try, though. Nice try. Okay, and then we have, who is that? Naphtali, Asher, down here, Ephraim, which is Joseph's other son. So, I mean, Joseph got a big portion of land here. Ephraim, Manasseh, look at that. That's a pretty big chunk. And that's most of the northern, like when the kingdom divides, that's most of Israel right there. All right, and we have, who is that? Issachar, Judah is down here, Dan, Simeon, and there's one here, that's Benjamin right there. All right, so the land of Benjamin actually happens to be where Jerusalem is today. And, as you know, Gaza's still there. And I'm trying to give you an idea of modern times where you still have Jordan, Egypt, Lebanon, and all that. This is kind of extra credit, if you care. Right here is the Golan Heights. And it was the tribes, that's why there's been so much fighting in that area. Jordan claims it, Syria claims it, but it's all the tribe of Manasseh. So you have a lot of Israel.
It belonged to Syria in the 6 Days War in 1967 when Israel conquered.
Yep, Israel also took the whole Sinai Peninsula. So, that's a big, big swath of territory. Jordan's kind of friendly to him now, but as you know, in the news, these people are still fighting. I mean, these are millennia-year-old wars that are still going on. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I think so. Oh, yeah, it's true or false. Israel was denied passage through the territory of Moab. That is true. So first they went to Edom. Edom said, "No way, Jose." And Moab said the same thing. And later on, they tried to curse him. Didn't work out so well.
Did they not want them to come through there because there were so many of them that
Yes.
use up their resources?
Well, I mean, you would think, and I don't know this, but you would think that word travels. A lot of people went back and forth to Egypt in these times, so they know what happened in Egypt. They had to have.
Actually, it's mentioned in Scripture.
Yeah.
They were very aware that Jehovah was fighting for these people.
Yeah, and they were scared. They were scared, and I'd say best case scenario, they were just worried that their whole culture would get overrun, you know. Anything to add? I'm almost done. I'm getting done too quick, guys. I am. Are there any questions right now? Because I think we've gotten through everything I planned on getting through. Huh? Number 8. Okay, we kind of brushed over that. So who died in the wilderness of Paran and why? Of which tribes? Joshua and Caleb. So all the ones, the males over, was it 20, 21?
Basically, they were punished because
Yeah,
the spies had no faith of success, no faith in God.
right. So basically, Justin, to answer your question, 10 tribes whose spies gave a bad report is what I put down for that. Did anybody get anything else? Okay, so we went through them pretty quick, guys, and I'm sorry. Hey, that's a good thing. It just means we get to chit-chat and talk a little longer. All right, any questions on any of the questions? Did I graze over anything you guys want to go over in more detail on these? I think I've come, okay. Did that. Balak is the king of Moab, 40 days, 40 years. Yep. So I guess next time, since I'm finishing early, I'm just going to go into the next lesson. Because I didn't bring it tonight, so we're off early tonight. So. All right, if there's no other questions, guys, that's all I've got. What's better than a short lesson? A short sermon. All right, guys, thanks for your attention. I appreciate it. Yeah, we got 10 minutes now. Not too quick. Here we do. We'll just sing a song. I was going to show you a picture of Aaron's tomb. If you squint, you can see it right there. That's okay. I was early, so were you. You're all right. top of Mount Hor. It's pretty cool. It's not very big. You can see by the size of the people standing next to it. But I thought that's awesome. But Aaron's still there. The tomb of Abraham is still there. The tomb of, you know, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, all of them still there. Yep. So I just love the archaeology and the anthropology behind all this. So it's cool. The what? What? That would have been an awesome eulogy.